Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm just getting ready for the gym, and it's the perfect time to kind of share with you all the process that I go through whenever I'm making goals. Today is the first of the year, the new year, and it's, kind of that time where everybody's starting to create their own goals, usually in that year time span. And I think it's a very opportune time for me to share with you all some of the mistakes that I've made when making some of my own goals. And I will have another video coming out probably later this week sharing my New Year's resolutions. Now, with that said, what we talk about in here today uh, is not tailored specifically for just 1 year goals. I certainly use them for shorter goal increments, which is actually something that I prefer, and longer term goal increments that can span way past the 1 year mark into that 5, 10 year horizon. So, overall, the number one issue that I have run into, and in this video, I'm going to be talking completely about myself because I can't speak for others, but of course, some of this I've seen in other people as well. But you need to set goals that are totally within your control, right? And I've had a tendency in the past where I've gone wrong is to set goals where I can do everything that I need to do to reach that goal, but in the end, the outcome is in someone else's hands. So a great example for that uh, actually is in 2022. I set the goal. I wanted to win my first Open National Championship with Powerlifting America. And of course, I trained my butt off. I was in great shape, probably the strongest I'd ever been going into 2022's national championships. So I had done every single thing that I could control for that goal heading into that meet. But I ran into Enrique Lugo, who was just on absolute fire leading into that competition. And on that day, he was the stronger man, and uh, all props to him. I'm happy for him. He deserved it that year. And there was absolutely zero that I could have done or changed to be stronger on that day to win that championship. So that's a great example of setting a goal and then you're putting in the work, but no matter what you do, you're not going to see that end outcome. And what tends to happen, or what I've seen happen with other people, if you set goals like that, eventually you're almost training yourself that it doesn't matter if you work towards the goal, you're not going to get it anyway. And that is not a mindset that you want to have because goals will lead you to a successful future. That's just how it works. But you have to pick up, coming off of that, you have to reflect and say, I made a bad goal. And it was a bad goal because I could not ultimately control that. So let's kind of take that situation and think about a way that I could reframe it. So maybe I'll talk about last year, right? So coming off of 2022, I was disappointed. I obviously couldn't get that goal back no matter what I did. So instead of framing 2023 as I have to win the national championship, you reframe it as I'm going to hit every training session leading into nationals and have my nutrition. So another great example is my goal leading into North Americans was I'm going to follow the RP diet with 90 or more percent adherence. Both of those, hitting every training session, 90% adherence, right? There's two major pieces to that. One is it's quantifiable. you can look at the numbers and see if you did it or not. 90% adherence. And basically, I forget what I was probably something around 92%, something like that. I hit that goal. And it didn't matter if I won North Americans or not. The outcome did not affect whether I hit that goal or not, because in the end, the outcome wasn't in my hands. There were other people with their own training that could affect my goals. The same thing with hitting every training day leading into nationals, which I'm throwing that out there. That wasn't my goal. I don't miss training days. That's just not a thing that happens to me. But as an example, it's quantifiable. Did you hit every training day or did you not? It doesn't matter what other people do. I'll give you one more kind of example in that light is if you are preparing for a test. If you set the goal as I'm going to pass this test, in this example, I'm using my goal for this past year was to pass the physics praxis to become certified to teach physics. Ultimately, it was a poor goal because I could have studied as much as I wanted. And if I didn't learn enough, right? Even if I studied my butt off, if I didn't learn enough to pass that test, I was not going to get to check off that goal. You can see that kind of balance there with how it relates to the lifting. Instead, you need to make that goal of, I'm going to study for 30 minutes every day or 2 hours of study time every week. It's quantifiable, and then it doesn't matter on the end outcome because there's a chance, even if you're putting that effort in, as with all things in life, there's a chance you fail. But you don't want to train yourself to get deterred by failure. You want to push through failure and still be able to check those boxes of, okay, I did that, and eventually the successes are going to come. So just kind of wrapping things up here, overall, when you're sitting down to create goals, whether they be short-term, long-term, or medium-term for New Year's resolutions, right? One, make them quantifiable for yourself. You know, you need numbers, you need a way to say, did I hit this or not? And I think a lot of us do a good job of that. The second major thing is make sure it is 100% in your control. There is no one else who can take it away from you, or no test scoring that may be a little subjective or something along those lines. You want it in your control. That way, if you do it, you get that satisfaction of checking off that goal for yourself. No one can take it away from you. And then the last bit that I'll add in here is whenever you're making goals, especially New Year's resolutions, sometimes it's harder to keep those long-term goals in focus over the course of a year. Even like if you have 5 or 10-year goals, it can be hard to keep those in sight. So I found if I keep them to monthly or quarterly goals, and I kind of chunk things that way, it helps me adhere to what I want to get done. So for example, if I'm going to I'm aiming for 120 products to my store for my side business within the year, then I would chunk that down and say, okay, to get to 120 for the year, then I need to post 10 products per month. So you have all these little goals. And ultimately, the more goals that you get to check off in your life, the more positive reinforcement you're going to have to make more goals and be more successful. And that's what I've had in my experience. So I'll kind of leave you all there with this one. I know it's running a little long. I appreciate you all being here. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is super exciting. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch these videos. We'll keep growing into the new year, and I hope you all have a successful one. Keep an eye out for my next video where I share with you all my goals for 2024. And until next time, happy lifting.